Hello and welcome to another episode of the Deceptive Reality Podcast. My name is Nick, and with me is the very authentic Bert.
I am authentic. Listen, if there's one thing no one can ever accuse me of is being unauthentic.
That's a fact, although the way I said it sounded suspicious. And I didn't mean to.
Let me tell you, no one can ever accuse me of not being authentic. Unfortunately, that is a downside sometimes. It's not always
nonsense.
Not always rainbows and butterflies. I can tell you that much. Because
we need more authenticity in this world, I think. It's good.
I think so too. I prefer to know where people sit at the end of the day. That's just me. But who am I? I'm just a guy. What do I know? Is what it is. What's going on, Nick?
Oh, not too much. Just real excited for today's episode.
Oh man,
you've led me on a little bit here. I got no idea what it is.
This is why I'm taking my time, Nick. I'm not rushing to it because I got to keep
torment, pure torture.
I told Nick this is obviously my week. Now, for those of you buttholes in the comment, I'm looking at you guys.
Oh.
Okay. We might be doing 2 episodes back to back. And in the events that we're wearing the same things in both of them, I don't want to hear about it. We're recording it on the same night.
Yeah. I'm not getting changed again.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I already changed once so I don't blend in with the background.
I've done it, though. There's been podcasts y'all didn't even know. Nick was wearing the same thing, but old Bert wasn't. I think you did change in one of them.
I did. No, the opposite. We had to split one into another night, and we had to make sure we wore the same things as both nights.
That's true.
It was during the interview days.
Yeah, the good old interview days. Whoops. Listen, we divulged some behind the scenes things.
That's right. Technical difficulties.
That's right. We've had
wardrobe changes.
We've learned.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've got 2 bangers for us tonight. This is going to be only one of them, so don't expect to see a second one on the same one. I'm going to try to keep this a 1-parter. If it rolls into a 2-parter, listen, I won't be upset. We make it a 2-parter, and then we save the other one. Not a huge deal.
Either way works.
Either way is good. But those of you may not know, last week's episode, and I'm telling you guys a little trade secret. Okay. At the end of every episode is a song for the podcast that you're listening to. So if you've not heard any of our songs up to this point, you're not staying till the end.
Yeah, you got to collect them.
That's right. You got to hit the doggone subscribe button.
Right. Like, subscribe, follow, alert, bells, whistles.
Exactly. Oh, I gave you 2 hints last week because I just remembered one. You didn't get it. So I don't think you know this episode. Was it a
name you were saying? You said a name a couple times.
Name. No. I made a movie reference, which was not what it's from.
A movie reference.
Yes. And then
the other one, my memory banks.
The other one, I said a certain word, and it's a word that we're going to hear a lot. In fact, we're going to hear it in this very first segment that builds our story, so to speak. And you didn't catch on.
I'm never going to remember this.
Well, let's go to the first one. You can tell me if you've heard this story or not. I'm curious.
In a small village in northern India, there lived a little boy named Titu, who harbored a secret far beyond his years. One evening, Shanti Singh sat on her bed, cradling her 3-year-old son as he threw an unrelenting tantrum. For 30 long minutes, Titu had been crying inconsolably, his screams echoing through their modest home and surely reaching the ears of their weary neighbors. Shanti's attempts to soothe him seemed futile. Every effort only intensified his cries, and she was at her wit's end. This wasn't an ordinary tantrum over a lost toy or a sibling quarrel. No, these episodes were different, and they left Shanti and her husband utterly baffled. Titu's outbursts were frequent and inexplicable, and he would only cease when he was good and ready, leaving his parents feeling helpless and desperate. Concerned for their son, Shanti and her husband had taken Titu to the local doctor, hoping for some answers. After a thorough examination, the doctor concluded, Your son is perfectly healthy. Physically, there's nothing wrong with him. It must be psychological. And so, the mystery deepened. What could possibly be causing such distress in their young boy? Little did they know, Titu's secret would soon unravel a story that defied all logic and reason. One that would transport them into a realm where reality blurred with the inexplicable. A tale straight out of the Twilight Zone.
Well, I doubt I've heard this story because I guarantee I've never heard the name Titu before, which I love, by the way.
T2. And last week I said, of all the Terminator movies, T2 is my favorite.
I get it now. Oh my God. Yeah.
So that's how I know.
So this is not a direct link, kind of.
I never give direct links. Nick.
I love that name.
T2.
Yeah. I love that name.
Yeah.
And her name was Shanti?
Shanti, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shanthi. Shanti.
Okay. Cool. And Titu.
And T2. Yep. So
that's fun to say. Titu.
wait till you hear the word. I think the word's actually not in the first segment. I think it's in the next one. But
okay.
As there's outbursts happening, there's going to be a word that he's going to end up saying. Now, obviously, this kid is distraught. He's got some stuff going on. At first they thought maybe because when the kids Nick doesn't have any kids that we know of.
Right. I'm not going to get into that.
Now you
Go on.
You lost me for a second because I knew exactly where he's going with that. You lost my train of thought. Hold on. It's going to come back to me.
You're going to have one of those patented Bert laughing fits.
You caught me off guard a little bit with that one. That was good, Nick. That was good. But obviously you've been around kids. I know there's kids around your friends, right? You got some friends that's got some kids and you've been around them.
Some of my friends have kids.
Yep. I believe one of them calls you like uncle or unk or something like that, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. One of my friends has 2 kids. They call me Uncle Nick.
Yeah. So you clearly understand children and how they can sometimes when they're young, they can have little tantrums, right? So.
Oh yeah. That's when you go home.
Yeah. That's when Nick goes home. Exactly.
I only see the beginning of them. I only know what the beginning of a tantrum looks like.
Correct. Yeah. Now the thing is, that lasts for a while. Like that's not a quick thing. Like it's not like they have tantrums at like 1 and 2 and progressively they get worse at like 3. They can even go into 4, sometimes 5 years old. And the thing you got to remember is for the first couple of years, there's no talking. Like these kids, they don't like you might get a word.
They can't tell you what.
No. So you're constantly guessing. Like it's a guessing game through the entire thing. So think about these parents. They got this kid.
Right.
He's having all these temper tantrums. He's getting all worked up.
Mm-hmm.
He can't really say what's going wrong. So they take him to the doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor, he does all these tests and he goes, dude, your kid is fine. Like it has to be psychological. Yeah. It can't be something physical.
Right.
So
was this any time during the day or night or just like nighttime only?
He would just randomly have him. Just randomly. So it's kind of a crazy thing to just have happen. Having had 3 children of my own.
Yeah.
My first child, Ella, cakewalk.
That's good. That's how first kids are the best.
That's how they trick you. Okay.
Yeah.
You get that first one, you're like, God, parenting's easy. Like, I don't know what the big old fuss is about. Golly. Second one, Grant. Wow.
Like,
okay.
Bad?
Woo, polar opposite.
Or good?
Yeah. He was a wild child. Yeah.
I thought this would wait for the third one to be announced, but
oh no, we're going there, Nick. We're going there.
Oh boy.
Ella cakewalk. Grant complicated. Ella never really cried, didn't fuss very much.
Yeah.
was relatively easy. Grant, the complete polar opposite. Couldn't have been more difficult.
Oh,
Wouldn't
wow.
listen. Was just a boy. Like, he was all about going around doing his thing. And, you know, Laney, number 3.
Wait, was he the boy that was in our Scrooge?
Yes.
Or was that the... Oh, yeah. Good actor, too.
But now he's older.
And your daughter.
Yeah. They both did extremely well for that. But, like, they're older now, so it's not as bad. Like, now I can just ground them and send them to their room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a little
you can start the psychological torment.
Yeah.
Like the psychological punishments.
Correct. Yeah. Best way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Now, Laney, when she came,
Mm-hmm.
you take Ella and you take Grant. And then you shake it up and it's right there. You have to watch
Right
her
in the
every
middle.
second. Like, you cannot take your eyes off of her.
Oh.
She will set a fire in your house somewhere. Okay.
Wow. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, she's if you watch the Flintstones and Bam Bam,
Mm-hmm.
probably Laney.
Like that?
Yeah, she's a wild.
Oh, okay.
You cannot take your eyes off of her for a second. So having all these kids, you kind of get used to temper tantrums, right? Ella used to have them. Grant had them a lot. Laney has them quite a bit too, and she's 3. So T2's kind of in that same frame of mind, right? Now, like with Laney, she's 3. She does sentences, and I understand about 60 to 70%, but there's like another 30 or 40% where I'm like, I have no clue. No clue what they're talking about.
Are these frequent like T2's having, or is like the T2 one super abnormal?
T2's is abnormal. Like, it's not something that you would typically, like, he's having, it was so bad the doctor thought there had to be something physically wrong with him. They didn't think that it was, but now they're like, no, this is definitely psychological. Like, there's nothing physically wrong with this child. So kind of a wild thing to have. And it's definitely scary as a parent. It's extremely scary because you're like, what if there's something wrong with my kid? Like, maybe there's something up. Maybe there's some type of, you know, situation where, you know, we might have to step in and take him to, like, you know, who knows what, you know, a therapist.
Right.
But typically those kind of things happen when you're much older, and there's things that happen as a child that you need to, or like PTSD or something like that. You got to kind of unpack that as you go, right? This is a child that's way too young to have these things happening. So probably in the back of their mind, they're like, okay, maybe this is like a mental condition is how we'll put it.
Right.
So kind of a scary thing to have right off the get-go.
Yeah, they're past their 30-day trial probably too.
Definitely past it. Warranty's up.
Yeah, warranties.
Okay. Yeah.
You're stuck with little T2 now.
Yeah, T2 is yours. Terminator 2.
Yeah.
This is probably Terminator 3. By the sounds of it, this is more T3 because he's kind of a as I put it with Laney, a fire starter. Okay. Yeah. He's kind of got some temper issues.
Now, sort of the opposite. When I was a kid, my parents told me they kept taking me to the doctor because I wasn't crying or any of that stuff. And they thought something was wrong with me because I was just like super content all the time. Yeah. And I mean, I was a baby. What did I have to cry about?
And think about it.
I should be crying now.
Think about it. Right? You was that kind of baby. Imagine if you could say sorry. You'd been like, sorry as a baby. You're sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
With your little
I was
Canadian.
a super content baby.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was super content baby.
You were like
actually,
Ella.
I am now.
Ella was super chill too.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
we're chill. We're chill babies.
I don't know what went wrong with Ella, but I mean, she's no longer content. She's a teenager.
What if she hears you say that? She's going to punish you.
No, she would. First off, I would say it to her face. What are you talking about? I tell her at least twice a week. Why are you being so complicated for? Like, what are you doing? Oh, man.
Oh, dads can get away with a lot.
We can. You don't like it, I don't feed you. What do you think of that?
Wow. Real bad now.
Only got to feed them once a day. That's the rule.
That's right. They're like turtles.
That's right. So
They're goldfish, I guess.
You kind of have a concept of T2. Do you have any idea what could be wrong with T2?
Well, see, I asked earlier if it was during the night or during the day, because like I told you before, like I had the sleep paralysis, but my brother used to have night terrors that they used to think maybe something physical was wrong with him. But
yeah,
that's what I was guessing. But as of this moment, I have no idea.
Well, let's listen to the next segment. We're going to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole. I'm going to see how long it takes you to figure out what's going on. We're doing the same thing you did with me on the Kennedy thing.
Ah, yeah.
From last week.
But you figured it out. That was disappointing.
At the end. We're going to see how far you go down this path before you figure out what could be going on with T2.
I'm going to look dumb now, but let's do it.
Let's go.
Shanti grasped her son firmly, attempting to hold him in a comforting hug and kiss, hoping it would quell his tumultuous outburst. But Titu, in his frenzy, lashed out. He swung at her face, kicked, and punched, forcing Shanti to retreat onto the bed, her frustration mounting with each strike. Titu's rage showed no signs of abating. Suddenly, he sprang off the bed and darted out of the room. Shanti had already sent the rest of the family outside, hoping they could escape the storm that was Titu's tantrum. For a brief moment, she considered just lying there, letting her wild toddler burn off his fury by running rampant through the house. But as she lay there, teetering on the edge of tears from sheer exasperation, the sound of shattering porcelain jolted her upright. Rushing to the kitchen, she found Titu standing over the remnants of a broken plate, a look of defiance in his eyes. He had clearly smashed it intentionally. Though rage flared within her, Shanti realized that her anger was powerless against Titu's relentless fits. The only option left was to ensure he couldn't hurt himself or anyone else. Maintaining as much composure as she could muster, Shanti approached the still raging Titu. He swung at her wildly as she neared, but she managed to grab him, turning him so he couldn't land any more blows. With firm but gentle hands, she guided him into his room and quickly shut the door behind him. Then she slumped down in the hallway, her back against the door, bracing herself to keep it shut. Inside the room, Titu's fury intensified. He pounded on the door, trying desperately to break free. Shanti, anchoring the door with her body, could only hope and pray that her son would soon exhaust himself. She listened intently, straining to hear any sign of his rage subsiding. Finally, through the chaos of his tantrum, Shanti heard a familiar word, a signal that the storm might be ending. Titu began to chant, Shershverma, Shershverma, over and over. This nonsensical word was a mystery to Shanti, her husband, and their other children, but it always heralded the end of Titu's outbursts. As he repeated it, Shanti felt a glimmer of hope that peace would soon return to their home, if only for a little while.
Ooh, interesting. The last little bit, especially.
Yes. I also said that word last week. I said, ain't that some crap? Shershverma. And then I kept moving. And you gave me a weird look, and then you just kept going. So I'm like, he must not know the story.
No, I don't think I do. Now I'm thinking either like a possession, or the location we're in, like maybe a djinn story. I don't know what to think about that. And the family knows what this word means either.
They consider it a nonsensical word. So to them, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Now, when I first heard this story, now to give you an idea, I told you this last week also. Where I originally heard about this story was a video that had came from 10 years ago, and it was talking about this entire family, and it was an older video then. This happened about 30-ish years ago, probably 20, 30 years ago. But I watched this video and I completely forgot about it, and then it came back up in my feed 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm like, that would make a great episode.
It seems to me you've told me this story before, but it doesn't help me figure out what it is, which was probably why you told me it before.
I've mentioned the story, but I've never told you what it was about.
Those words, I'm trying to think. Shershverma.
Shershverma. Kind of sounds German, doesn't it?
Shershverma. Yeah, I could kind of see that.
Yeah, it kind of has that German
Maybe
feel
this
to
is
it.
a reincarnation story.
Could
Maybe
be a reincarnation story. Could be.
So I've got 3 different threads I'm pulling on right now, and I don't know. 3 threads. Yeah, I don't think I got enough information, but
now
so every time he starts to calm down, he says these words.
Every single time. It's like it's his way of calming down. He's like Shershverma.
Right. I'm afraid it's going to turn out to be like I'm just thinking about it wrong, and it's going to be like a super common word that I'm just not getting.
I can tell you but from the family, it's a nonsensical word.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense why you would say it.
But they'd be speaking Hindi anyway, so.
Yes, correct.
Wouldn't they?
Correct, yes.
Right.
Now, one thing that I'll say.
So it could be like in.
It was maybe 3 weeks ago. Anyway, I was walking through Myers. I don't know if you guys have a Myers where you're at.
Right. Was that a hot dog store?
No, no, it's a grocery store.
I have no idea then.
Yeah, it's a grocery store.
Okay.
Some people would say it is pronounced Meijer because it's M-E-I-J-E-R. We would call that Meyer.
That's definitely got to be a German thing.
Maybe. I'm too stupid for that, Nick. Don't ask me dumb questions like that. I don't know the answer to.
That was more of a stupid statement on my part, I guess.
But
someone will tell us, I'm sure.
Oh, I guarantee someone will. But I was walking through the store and I heard this kid just going off, man. Like he was holy macaroni. And it's not uncommon. Sometimes you go through a store and you're like, man, now me thinking the way that I parent, I'm like, I don't know how to correct that.
Right.
Only take me once to correct that one. I bet he doesn't do that in the store no more. We're not going to talk about my parenting theory, but they won't do that in the store no more. I promise. But he just kept going on and like, we're not talking like a couple feet away. I heard it like across the store.
Oh, I've heard this kind of thing before. Like, I know what you're talking about.
She had him in the cart and he was grabbing onto the side rungs and he was taking his feet and slamming them against the front while screaming at the top of his lungs. Like I've never seen anything like that. Terrible. So it's kind of crazy that is a thing that happens, I guess, in this day and age. Like I see it, but I don't see it as much per se. But I
think I only see it maybe once every quarter, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
that was the worst that I've seen it. But eventually they did get near me and I'm like, oh gosh, please don't do it. And she's like, now such and such, I forget what his name was. We can't do that in the store. If you do that, I'm not going to buy you X, Y, and Z. I'm sitting there thinking, that ain't going to work.
Oh, no, you don't do that.
You're trying to negotiate. And this kid was probably like 6.
Yeah.
I'm like, my kids, my parenting style, it wouldn't have taken until 6 to get this down. Okay.
Right.
But, yeah.
I don't think reward is the right way to, like... I don't know, because anytime you don't reward them, they're just going to do it, right?
Exactly. You got to hit them with a...
They're going to flip out. Stiff fines and penalties.
Yeah, that's what you got to hit them with. What would be funny is if I did that and then there's like a sensor bar that pops up and like a big old bleep noise and it comes back. That might be fun to do.
There's a word for, what is it? Gentle parenting, I think is what it's called. Have you heard of this term before?
No, we don't do dumb stuff like that in my household. Gentle parenting.
It's a thing I've seen on TikTok where you just say,
Shershverma?
Was it, how do they say it? Shershverma. They're like, and I find this like cringeworthy, but I don't know about kids. Maybe it works. They're like, I know you're feeling big feelings right now, and it's okay to feel that way, but we should talk about it quietly and blah 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 blah.
No. I did watch A Teacher one time. I got to give him credit.
Right.
There was 3 kids that was left over from school. Everyone else was outside playing, and apparently these 3 kids did something, like they had an outburst or something. And this dude walked up, sat in front of him, and he's like, okay, we don't talk right now. If you cry, I can't hear you. I can't. You need to calm down, drop your voice down. And then the one kid's trying to talk to him. He's like, you're not calming down. You need to sit there. I'm going to talk to you first. And he went to the kid that was being quiet.
Right.
And he goes, do you understand why you're sitting here? And then they started crying. And he goes, okay, you're not ready yet either. And then he goes to the second kid. The second kid's watching what happened with the first two. And he's like, well, hold on now. Okay. I need to calm myself down. So he tells him, he goes, okay, we understand we don't do that, right? Kid goes, yes. And he goes, okay, you can now get up and go join your friends. And then
that seems legit. I'm down for this.
They got it. I'm not sure exactly what age this was. Right. This might have been like 4 or 5 years old. The same age as this kid that was in Meyer. But I was shocked with how well that worked. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah, I imagine it only works with multiple kids.
I would assume so, but I was still shocked with how well it worked. Like, it was...
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good. He's sort of talking to him like an adult. He's, he's not threatening him and stuff like that. Right. Like, I'm not, again, not a parent, but I'm not a fan of, like, you shouldn't do stuff to a kid that you wouldn't do to an adult.
Right. Well,
like, if an adult was doing something I didn't like, it's frowned upon that I just, like, slap them on the butt.
Yeah, me too.
And yell at them. Right?
Sometimes
I don't know. I ain't got these things.
Sometimes you got to swat them a little bit to get their attention. Like, I've only swatted my kids with a diaper on, and never hard. It's more of a don't do that. And it's going to be things like they run out into traffic, or they touch electrical outlets, or stuff like
danger things.
Like if it's a temper tantrum or something like that, typically I'll just send them, over in a corner, and I'm like, when you're ready. Or like Lainey, currently the thing is, okay, you're going to go sit on the stairway, like the very edge of the stairs. She's not climbing the stairs, folks, but the one that's closest to the door, the bottom stair. And when she stops crying, I'll walk over and I'll go, okay, are you able to talk to us now? And if she says yes, then I'm like, okay, come over and you can rejoin us. And I'll typically try to give him like a hug after. I'll be like, okay. And then, you know, I'll reaffirm, listen, what you did is not right. But that said, it's not like I dislike you because of it. Right.
It's good that you say that to them, because kids don't get stuff, I don't think. Like, they need to be told that stuff.
At a young age, it's definitely, I would assume it'd be very difficult for them to understand why, because you got to understand, they're seeing some of the stuff at daycare, and like, there's some things that my kids have brought home, and I'm like, I know you didn't get that here. Like in my household, there is zero cussing. Zero cussing in front of the children ever.
That's a good policy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because they're going to hear it out in the world, but in the same regard, like I don't know that my kids have ever heard me cuss ever, even if I'm in pain or it's too easy to control, But not everyone's the same way. I know there's a lot of household that's like, oh, they're going to hear it anyway. And, at least they're doing it in the safety of their home. And listen, I get it. Just not for me. That's just not the way I prefer.
Well, they don't need to get that at home.
No.
Now, where I'm from, people swear every second word. And I've gotten a lot better, because I used to be pretty bad for that too.
Yeah.
But I work with a fella who He's a religious fellow. He doesn't get on your case about it or anything.
Yeah.
But out of respect to him, he doesn't like to hear it. So I stopped. And you know what? Swearing at work's not a super professional thing to do anyway.
Sure.
And I've gotten the habit of it. So now I'm on the weekends and I'll go to say something that I'd normally swear at. Mm-hmm. And I'll be something like Ned Flanders, like, oh, fiddly sakes, or something like that. Yeah. Fiddly diddly or whatever. And everyone will look at me and they'll be like, what's happened to you?
What is going on with you? Are you okay, Nick? You need something?
Yeah. And now it's hard to get back into the habit of swearing. Like, it's hard to switch on.
Yeah.
If you don't do it 5 days a week, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For anyone that doesn't know, I used to stream and I always had to be very careful with YouTube. And when you're gaming, the hardest thing to do is not swear, because when you get mad or frustrated, and I'll never forget, I think we were in a Discord call or something. There's like 6 of us. And I said a statement and there was just pure silence from Nick. And he goes, "Did you just say that?"
I seem to remember this, but I can't remember what you said. It must have been shocking.
We was talking about turtles.
Oh, yes, I do remember. I was flabbergasted. Oh, unbelievable behavior from this man.
But I think that was the first time Nick had ever heard something like that from me. So he was absolutely shocked that could even be possible. I used to run a clean ship. Listen, can't help it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even I 90% didn't swear there. I'd do it every once in a while and I'd be like, oh, crap, sorry. So,
yeah, I used to tell everyone, you know, cuss. I don't care. Yeah. You know, if it's bad, like I'm going to bleep it out, but I just don't do it because it's easy. It's easy to snowball it, right? You say this word and you say that word, and next thing you know, you're bleeping 1,500 times. We used to play with this guy called Crockbait, and oh my gosh, dude, there was videos. I'm like, I can't even use this because I'll have to bleep it like 50 times. Like, it's no good at that point. So,
my opinion is, I was coming to your streaming house. I'm gonna follow your lead, right? That's how one way that I was taught, kind of, to show respect to people, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, but I wouldn't have cared either way. Yeah. Not that big a deal to me. Speaking of not so much of a big deal, old Titu, he didn't have a whole lot to care about either, the way he was popping off at people.
Yeah, I guess. He broke a plate. Like, they might not have had a bunch of plates.
Maybe Shershverma. Maybe that is a cuss word. You ever thought of that?
Maybe. I want to find out.
Do you want to hear the next segment? Do you want to hear what's going on?
I sure do. I'm learning a lot about kids, but we got to keep it moving too, I guess.
I think there is 8 segments, maybe 9. I think there's 9 segments. So this will be segment 3 of 9. I'm keeping track of this, Nick. We're testing you.
Yeah. I won't ask so many questions.
You can ask any question you want to, Nick.
Okay.
All right. Let's go. Shershverma.
As Shanti sat with her back against the door, she felt Titu's pounding begin to slow, his chanting of Shershverma gradually calming her frayed nerves. She knew this was the beginning of the end for this tantrum. In a few more moments, Titu would be exhausted, ready to collapse into a fitful sleep. Sure enough, the banging ceased, replaced by the soft whimpers of a child worn out from his own tempest. Shanti waited a few extra moments, ensuring the calm had truly settled before she cautiously opened the door to peek inside. There, amidst the disarray of his small room, Titu lay on the floor, his tiny body curled up, murmuring the enigmatic word that had become their signal of truce. Shanti gently lifted her son, placing him onto his bed and tucking him in with tender care. As she smoothed his hair back from his damp forehead, she wondered again about the mysterious word, Shershverma. It held no meaning to them, yet it had a powerful effect on Titu. The days that followed were filled with similar outbursts, each ending with the strange chant. Shanti and her husband tried everything to uncover the source of Titu's torment, but nothing seemed to provide answers. They consulted with holy men and traditional healers, hoping someone might recognize the word or understand its significance. But each inquiry led to a dead end. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Titu suddenly looked up from his meal, his eyes wide with an intensity that Shanti had never seen before. He pointed to a picture on the wall, a simple landscape painting of a distant city. "Home," he whispered, then more insistently, "Shershverma." The room fell silent as Shanti and her husband exchanged bewildered glances. Could this be the clue they had been waiting for? Determined to follow this new lead, they began researching the city and the painting, hoping to find any connection to the word that had haunted their son for so long. Their journey took them through archives and old records, each step uncovering more questions than answers.
Oh, this has gotta be a place name. It's gotta be.
Yeah, you think the place
And
is
this
called
has gotta be a
Shershverma?
reincarnation tale.
You think so?
What's that?
So you think it's a place and it's a
It's gotta
reincarnation?
be.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking so far. I'm guessing, of
Hey,
course.
You got to make a guess. You got to make guesses along the lines.
So what places sound like Shershverma?
It's a great question, Nick. Have you ever thought, because at this point I had my own theories too,
Right.
but we talk about a lot of things sometimes, Nick. Sometimes we talk about how we're given information from other sources.
Right.
Maybe he's getting something as a kid. Maybe it's reincarnation. Maybe it is a case where
Alternate realities.
maybe could be like our guy from
Right. The man from Torrid.
Torrid.
Mm-hmm.
Extra
Okay.
dimensions. Could be a whole bunch of
Yeah,
things.
extra dimension. It sure could. Crazy kid.
Sky's the limits, Nick. Sky's the limits yet. But we're getting little pieces of the puzzle because now he's looking at this picture and he's going home. So that's an indication. But he's looking, and then right after that he says Shershverma. So the indications is clearly he's looking at this land and he's saying, that's my home and that's Shershverma.
Right.
What's your thoughts?
So, well, I mean, he's just a kid. It's got to be a reincarnation thing, because how would that be his home otherwise?
Could be. Could be.
Maybe he's a changeling.
I don't know.
Oh, Titu, you are mysterious.
Ain't that some Shershverma?
That's some church. I'm like going through my head everything that might sound close to Shershverma. And I just can't. I'm so afraid it's going to be something so obvious, and I'm going to be like, you know?
Well, I mean, this is relatively difficult because, again, it says that the small village in northern India. So the weird thing is,
which I'm not familiar with.
Well, I wasn't either, but to give you an idea, this area is not super far that he's pointing to where they live. So the only thing I would say, and I'm giving you more of a hint than I had when I listened to this the first time through.
Yeah.
If he's saying Shershverma and he keeps saying this word and he's throwing all these temper tantrums and he's pointing and he's going home, if they live in that part of India and it's 30 minutes away, don't you think they would know that Shershverma was a city or a place?
I know. That's what's difficult. Now that you've said that.
Kind of difficult.
How would they not know that?
They would know that, you would think.
Right. Well, they also, why would they have a picture of it if they didn't know what it was?
Correct.
Unless it was an old name for the place that they are not aware of.
Could be.
You know, because Istanbul and Constantinople, they changed the name on that.
Correct. What if it's from another dimension? And that city,
it could be.
That city is that name.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many options.
It could be.
The sky's really the limits at this point, Nick.
I know.
Story could go
Maybe he was swapped at birth and
Maybe.
Well, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You thought maybe I'd know this story?
I thought maybe you might.
I wonder what would make you think that. It must be either a very popular story.
I don't think it's super popular. I think it's very obscure. But we'd had a conversation one time about something, and you had mentioned a series of things that kind of fit this, and I couldn't remember if this is one that you had stated, but you had made reference to other types of these stories before in the past.
Man, all I could think is the sleep paralysis thing, but this is definitely not
sleep paralysis.
Not
I'll give you that much. Not sleep paralysis.
Yeah, no. Man, I'm drawing a blank, and I feel like I should get this. My curiosity's killing me.
Well, I mean, look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to these stories,
right,
there's very limited things that it could be. And I kind of gave a hint. I said, we've covered this before in the past.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the next segment? Maybe the next segment will give you a hint, because I'm looking at the scripting. And,
right. I do, but before you play it, I have a statement to make.
Okay.
You say we've talked about this before, but let me give you some facts and figures.
Okay.
We're almost 60 episodes in, maybe more. On every episode, we go off on tangents like 40 times.
Yes.
So 60 times 40. Plus the hour we sometimes talk afterwards and before. Then there's usually 5 to 10 topics during each of those. Yeah. And the years and years we've talked before this. Yeah. I can't keep all this straight.
What do you mean you can't keep track of this all, Nick? We're a reputable podcast company. You got to keep this all in mind.
I'm not a T2. I'm not a Terminator. I'm not a robot.
Man, you need to upgrade to your T3, Nick.
I guess. My memory is lacking.
We'll see if this helps.
Give me some more information. Yeah.
I bet this helps.
But it wasn't until Titu began talking at around 2 years old that Shanti and her husband truly began to worry. The things Titu said were beyond what one would expect from a toddler. And it wasn't just the nonsense word, Shershverma, that he repeated during his tantrums. His words carried an unsettling weight, filled with a disdain that seemed unfathomable for a child his age. Titu would utter things that suggested he loathed everyone in his family. For context, Shanti and her family were neither poor nor rich. They lived in a modest concrete home without a TV or a car, and the children wore hand-me-down clothes. Shanti handmade her and her husband's clothes, but they always had enough to eat and were educated. Despite their modest means, they were a generally happy family. This was the only life Titu had known since birth. Yet, once he began to speak, it seemed all he wanted to do was criticize their lifestyle. For example, when Shanti wore one of her saris that happened to be torn, Titu would point out the flaw in toddler speak, telling her she looked awful and that her clothes were rags. He would walk around their house pointing at dirty spots, demanding they be cleaned because he didn't want to live in a filthy home. Whenever they needed to go somewhere, Titu would complain about walking or taking the bus, insisting they should have a car, despite never having ridden in one. But the strangest part of Titu's behavior began when he started talking about Agra, a historic city about 8 miles away, renowned for the Taj Mahal. Titu had never been to Agra, and his family had no connection to the city. Yet, starting at 2 years old, Titu frequently asked to visit Agra. When his parents refused, he would throw monumental tantrums. As time passed and Titu's troubling behavior continued, Shanti and her husband hoped he would outgrow it. But Titu did not. Soon after they decided to wait it out, Titu attacked another child with a sugar cane, leaving the child bleeding. Another time, while at a store with his mother, Titu saw her admiring a bracelet she couldn't afford. In a bizarre show of affection, Titu threatened the shopkeeper, saying if he didn't give the bracelet to his mother for free, Titu would shoot and kill him. After that incident, Shanti and her husband stopped taking Titu out in public, finding his behavior too embarrassing and unpredictable. Yet, what unsettled Shanti the most was the word Shershverma. This nonsensical term, chanted at the end of every tantrum, felt like a dark omen, a piece of a puzzle that seemed to hint at something deeper and more mysterious. Desperate for answers, Shanti and her husband continued their search for understanding. They sought guidance from spiritual leaders, hoping someone might shed light on Titu's bizarre behavior and the meaning of Shershverma. Each visit only deepened the mystery, leaving them with more questions than answers. The word Shershverma haunted their thoughts, a riddle that refused to be solved.
So now we've got a place name.
We do. Agra.
Was that the place in the picture?
No.
It's a different place he wants to go now.
But it's like right next to this place. It's not necessarily right next to. So the way that it was explained in the video was the picture was more of like a landscape. And that landscape is on the outskirts of Agra. So,
okay.
When you're a toddler and you see that, even though it's maybe not directly home, it's home, if that makes sense. It's kind of like
enough.
It's kind of like Laney now. When we get to my community where we live,
right,
that's basically home.
Right. That
Even
makes sense. I mean, that's sensible.
Yeah.
So he really wants to go there. See, because they don't have a car, it's probably very difficult.
Yes.
For them, because I know my first thing was like, okay, let's go check this out, or something like that. But so he won't tell him why he wants to go there.
Nope. But we know that it has significant importance to him, and he's designating that that's his home. But he hasn't known any place except for this family. And on top of that, he's very frustrated with his family. Very frustrated. Like they're not clean enough. They don't have enough money. They live in his eyes.
They don't have a car.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to do mass transit. He'd much rather do his own thing in a car. And the shopkeeper, man, could you imagine you got this little kid in there? If you don't give this to my mom for free, I'll shoot and kill you. God,
well, I'll be completely honest. I've heard kids say that kind of stuff before.
Wow. In Canada, they must be wild.
That's not. Oh, yeah. Canadian kids are crazy. We only grow into sorry machines later on. But
oh, man.
No, but this has got to be a reincarnation tale. There's no other explanation that I can think of.
Could be.
And I'm wondering if Shershverma is some kind of religious cult or something that's in Agra, or like.
I love hearing your theories, Nick.
I don't know. I'm probably going to be completely wrong, but
could be completely right.
Sure. Because I mean, people do meditations to calm down and stuff like that. Like, I can see something be like Shershverma or something like that. You know how I think it's like Catholics do the rosary kind of thing, and you know, Buddhists do the Heart Sutra and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what theory I'm going with right now. Because it just seems that he's used to another life, and this life just disgusts him, even though they're not that bad off.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're living the standards of that community that they're from, and he doesn't like it.
I'd almost say that that's like not rich, but that's probably like upper class for there, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably like middle upper class. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of places you don't have your own car.
Yeah, like I feel like he might not even have. He shouldn't even really have a concept that people own them.
He should not
necessarily.
He should not.
Right. Also, where's he getting this? Like, they haven't got a TV or anything. Where's he getting this "I'll shoot you" business from? I'm sure they're not doing that at home.
He's Canadian, Nick.
Yeah. Well, he must be.
Maybe he's reincarnated as a Canadian.
Shershverma. So what Canadian term could Shershverma be? Maybe it's French.
Maybe.
It's French, and it means search for the clothes. Search. It could be he's saying Shershverma, which would be very close to search for the clothes.
Hey, maybe he wants a new wardrobe, Nick.
Maybe. Well, I'm saying like close the door.
Oh, I got
Like
you.
that's more mysterious. Search for the clothes.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. He's not a little Montreal boy.
I mean,
my name is Titu. I am from French Canada. I want to separate from my country. But I did not plan to end up in India.
that's true. Listen, sometimes you don't end up where you expect to be, Nick. It's fine.
Yeah. And before anyone gets onto my case of it doing that bad accent, half my family's French, so I feel like I can get away with that.
Oh man, we've just talked about that too. My parents and I did. They said, "Is Nick French?" I said, "I don't know if he's French or not." They're like, "Oh,
kind of part French." And we take it in school as our second language instead of learning something useful like Spanish, like I think you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, we also had French. We had Espanol and Francais.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I can see it stuck with you.
Yeah, I didn't trust and believe. I didn't use it at all. And the crazy part is I took 2 years of Spanish. The only thing I asked for is where's the bathroom? That's the only thing I remember.
That's important, especially if you're having a lot of tacos and stuff like that,
I now have this device that I can carry around with me where I press a button and I speak and it translates it in whatever the language. And then when they talk, I press a button and it translates it back to me.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you get an opportunity to use it a lot, or
no? I've used it once, one time. This like homeless lady came up, not homeless per se, but like she was having a bad day, and she came up to my car window and she was very broken English, and I was trying to understand. I'm like, hold on one second, and I grabbed the thing and I talked, and she just looked at me like, what kind of witchcraft is this? Okay.
Yeah.
She had never seen anything like that before, but we was able to maintain a complete conversation after that.
Oh, that's really good. That's handy. I like that kind of technology.
She wanted to hold it, and I'm like, no, I hold it because you're not walking away with it. Okay.
Right.
Don't make me Shershverma you, okay? I don't want to.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I Shersh what I got a Verma.
Exactly. But that device, it's handy, especially for nowadays. It comes in very handy.
Yeah, I'm not really around a lot of people typically that are speaking anything but English or French. A fella started working with us. He is from India originally, but his English is probably better than mine.
Yeah,
to be honest, like he speaks more proper than I do.
Oh man.
So I don't need it for him for sure. But once in a while, he's trying to tell me something. He can only think of the Hindi word.
Yeah.
So maybe he could use that. But
yeah, he definitely could.
I should be texting him under my desk and say, "Where is Shershverma in India?"
He might know this story because I think this is popular. He might. India. I bet he does.
I'll ask him tomorrow
because this story made, I believe, news in that country because of one thing that we're going to cover in the very last segment.
Oh, okay.
Like something that's mind-blowing.
I'm hooked. I'll tell you, I like this.
Like this is good. The next segment and the next series of segments is going to blow your mind. We're literally getting to the good stuff now.
Ooh, okay. Trying to think if I have any other questions about the last part before we go on here, but I think for now, good. I'm doubling down on Reincarnation story.
Nick's going with the recar. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, let's see if this segment changes your mind.
Fast forward to the day after Titu had broken the plate and Shanti had put him in his room. Titu began chanting his familiar nonsense word. However, as Shanti listened closely, she realized that Titu's speech was becoming clearer as he grew older. He wasn't saying Shershverma as a single word. He was saying two distinct words, Suresh Verma. The word sounded like a name, but it was a name Shanti had never heard before. Months passed, and the mystery surrounding Titu's erratic and troubling behavior continued to deepen. Then one fateful day in April 1987, Everything came to a head. The day began like any other. Shanti prepared breakfast for her family while her husband headed out to run errands in Agra, the city that had captivated Titu's imagination. Her 6 children dispersed around the house and yard, engaging in their various activities. Titu, however, was particularly grouchy and stayed in the kitchen with Shanti. A little later, Shanti's oldest son entered the kitchen and asked, "Mom, when will Dad be back from his trip to Agra?" The mention of Agra immediately caught Titu's attention. He fixated on the conversation, his eyes wide with intensity. Without a word, Titu stood up, left the kitchen, and went to his room. Moments later, he returned with a bundle of clothes, walked past his mother and brother, and headed out the front door, running down the road. Shanti and her oldest son were momentarily stunned. This was a 3-year-old child, not a teenager. As the reality of the situation sank in, the oldest son bolted out of the house to catch up with Titu. Though he quickly reached his younger brother, he found it surprisingly difficult to stop Titu from running away. Titu fought back fiercely, determined to escape. When the oldest son finally managed to bring Titu back inside, Shanti saw that he had a black eye from Titu's blows. Titu, meanwhile, was inconsolable, kicking, flailing, and screaming in the throes of another tantrum. Shanti and her eldest son restrained him to prevent any further harm, holding him down until his fury began to subside. As Titu calmed down, he started repeating, "Suresh Verma, Suresh Verma." But then he began mentioning something new. Amidst his chants, Titu started talking about a radio store in Agra. He repeatedly asked, "Why didn't Dad bring me to the radio store? Why didn't he bring me?" Shanti saw this as a crucial opportunity. Titu's specificity about the radio store could be the key to understanding his mysterious behavior. Once Titu had fully calmed down and Shanti and her oldest son could release him, she seized the moment. She instructed her oldest son to go to Agra immediately and investigate. She urged him to look for any radio store or any clue that might explain Titu's fixation with the city. Without delay, the oldest son left the house and went to a friend's place to borrow a car. Together, they drove into Agra. Shanti waited anxiously, unsure if her oldest son's trip to Agra would yield any answers. She hoped for the best, but prepared herself for the possibility of yet another dead end. Hours passed, and when her oldest son finally returned, his face was somber and serious. Shanti's heart raced. Clearly, he had discovered something significant. She quickly approached him, her voice trembling with urgency. "What did you find out? What happened in Agra?" Her son looked down, gathering his thoughts before meeting her gaze. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, "we're going to have visitors." The cryptic response only heightened Shanti's anxiety and curiosity. "Visitors? Who are they?" she pressed. But her son shook his head, unwilling or unable to provide more details. "You'll see," he said. "Just wait until tomorrow." The night dragged on, each minute feeling like an eternity. Shanti's mind raced with possibilities, her imagination conjuring up all sorts of scenarios. What could her son have possibly found? Who were these visitors? And how were they connected to Titu's strange behavior and his incessant chant of Suresh Verma?
Oh, you cut it off before I could find out.
I mean, maybe.
Clearly, he found the radio store. Clearly.
You think so?
And, yep, I do think so. Pretty darn certain about that. And when he talked to the people, what he said to them was familiar enough and compelling enough to get them to visit.
Yeah, could be.
So they know either one of these people is Suresh Verma or this kid is Suresh Verma somehow.
Well, we've definitely confirmed it's probably a name.
Yeah.
Because it definitely sounded that way.
It's got to be the kid's name.
Yeah, so it definitely sounded that way. So their assumption is, well, if it sounds like a name and we know it's in Agra,
Right.
and it's about radios, we know that there's something that's happening with this radio shop. Uh-oh, Nick's thinking.
Oh, interesting. I'm relating this back to an episode we did that was about a base that they built in a certain place because of radio signals, and the radio signals were interfering with psychic people. Do you remember this?
Yeah. I definitely remember that.
I wonder if he's getting signals from Agra.
Man, that'd be crazy.
And it's not a reincarnation story.
Well, I did say,
you've made me doubt myself now.
I did say that this could be more complex than what we think, Nick. We just don't know.
This is this is a real nail biter. And you ended that last one. I was like, I'm finally gonna know what's going on here.
The next one you're gonna know. The next segment you're gonna know.
And 100%. I was thinking, I think almost the last minute of it, there were different parts where I thought, well, he's definitely gonna cut it here. Nope, he's still going. Maybe I'll get the whole thing. No, he's gonna cut it here.
Oh no, I'm not gonna give you the whole thing. No, Nick, I would never do such a thing. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, maybe I should switch to the radio theory.
Well, we've got 5 minutes of narration left in 2 segments.
That's still a lot of narration.
It's 2 more segments, Nick. The next one you're going to know for sure basically what it is. And then the last one that I give is kind of a, oh crap moment.
Oh, like it might not be that or something? Or
well, it definitely leads us down a path where we go, I didn't see that coming. But maybe in confirming our story. We don't know. No, I've got a little whiplash from this because I've been like, it's got to be this, and now it's got to be that, and now I'm thinking, oh, it got to be like radio signals, and he's picking them up because it doesn't. I don't know, but it could still be the reincarnation story. You're 50-50 on this, Nick. Don't screw this up.
50-50. I'm going to go with the radio signal one.
I will tell you, between the two, one is correct. 100% correct.
It's got to be the radio signal one. Okay. This is too difficult. This is causing me mental distress here.
The best part is everyone at home or is listening knows what it is because of our title.
Yeah, I know. This is always how it goes. Everyone who's listening's be like, why is this guy not getting it?
This is the best part.
What's the deal here?
This is the best part. This is why I'm glad we did
I bet you if you knew the title of this and you were listening to it, it would be super clear really quickly.
Completely obvious, yeah. The title for this is completely obvious.
I'm going to stick with radio signals. I think I'm making a bad gamble, but that's what I'm going to stick with.
All right. Well, let's hear the next segment. Let's see if you're right, Nick.
The next day, a sleek car pulled up in front of Shanti's modest home, and 6 elegantly dressed individuals stepped out. Among them was a woman in her 30s, adorned in a stunning red sari. 3 men, also in their 30s, wore sharp suits and jackets, exuding an air of sophistication. Accompanying them was an older couple. The man sported a beautiful sweater, and the woman was draped in luxurious silk. Their attire and demeanor clearly marked them as affluent outsiders, far removed from the humble surroundings of Shanti's village. Inside the house, Shanti watched their arrival with a mixture of apprehension and hope. The night before, she, her husband, and their children, except for Titu, had agreed to let Titu make the first contact with the visitors. They hoped that this might lead to some revelation about his strange behavior. As the well-dressed group stood patiently outside the gate, Shanti called out to Titu, Go outside and open the gate for our guests." Titu, not in the throes of a tantrum for once, sprinted through the house and flung open the door. He hadn't yet seen the visitors. When he did, his reaction was immediate and unexpected. Shanti heard Titu emit a sound she had never heard before, a cry of pure joy. It was as if he had just been reunited with long-lost loved ones. Shanti felt her eyes well up with tears. She knew, even before Titu's ecstatic reaction, that these visitors were the key to solving the mystery that had plagued their lives. Outside, Titu's voice rang out, "Mama, Papa, come outside and meet my other family." Shanti, brimming with anticipation, opened the door and gestured for the guests to enter. She led them through the house to the back deck, where everyone took a seat. Shanti stole a glance at Titu, who was grinning from ear to ear, his eyes fixed on the woman in the red sari. The room was silent, a tension hanging in the air as everyone waited for someone to speak. Breaking the silence, Titu looked at the woman and asked her to sit next to him. She obliged, moving over to sit beside the toddler. Titu smiled up at her and asked, "Do you know who I am?" The woman, bewildered, shook her head. "No, I don't," she replied. Titu's eyes sparkled with a knowing look. "I know who you are. You're Uma." At this, the woman gasped. Her name was indeed Uma. She stared at Titu in shock, wondering how this little boy could possibly know her name. Before she could respond, Titu continued, "Do you remember when we went to the fair with Ranu and Sanu and I bought you those sweets?"
All right, I made a bad gamble. It was reincarnation all along.
Yes. And the reason that I mentioned all that before was you love that Dorothy Eady story.
I know, that was an amazing one.
And I would argue this is maybe as compelling, if not more compelling, than Dorothy Eady. And I'm scared because now I'm looking at what's left. There should be technically 2 more segments, and it looks like there's only one. So if there's not the one, I'm going to have to explain the ending because it's pretty crazy. Now, for those of you listening at home,
that's okay.
You'll hear the other segment. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you guys get all the benefits that I don't get here. Like, you know the title. You don't have to gamble like this. I made a bad decision.
Nick made a pretty bad decision. It wasn't radio related.
That I think that was a red herring that you threw in there because you knew that I would go thinking about that right away. Because you mentioned earlier the alternate realities and all that kind of stuff. I think you were trying to throw me off the trail.
I mean, I got to plant little seeds of doubt, Nick. I just can't let you go running away.
I blame you for this. I would have won.
Oh, man.
No, but I do love these reincarnation stories.
Yeah. This was extremely compelling.
I absolutely do not want that for myself.
The crazy
I don't want to be reincarnated.
Oh, yeah, no. The crazy part of this entire thing is he's been running this temper tantrum since he was a kid this entire time. The family comes. The older couple, he calls him Mama, Papa. The woman who's Uma, she's going to have a very pivotal role because he says, "Do you remember when we went to the fair with these 2 people and I bought you those sweets?"
Right.
Now think about this.
So that's got to be his girlfriend or wife, probably.
I mean, it's very possible. Now, the thing is, when you think about it, let's say it is his wife.
Right.
She hears this. What goes through your mind? This person knows this event. He's young. It's impossible for him to know this unless it's him. But he's a kid and I'm 30 some years old.
She is immediately going to jail because she is a pedophile. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on here. You might have to bleep that out.
Well, maybe. We'll figure it out.
I don't know the rules about that.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. I I don't know another word for that. So just, you know what I said when when it's bleeped out.
I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out.
But now I'm just thinking, like, if this were a movie, he must be have been murdered, and maybe they know who it was, and maybe she was involved.
I mean, anything's possible.
Well, I'm fabricating that from whole cloth. There's no way I have no reason to believe that whatsoever, other than that he's dead. He must have died.
I mean, we clearly know that this is probably our guy. Like, it's not definitively said, but we're pretty sure it's our guy.
Because, I think we can safely tuck that away.
Only that guy would know.
Mm-hmm. He's Shershverma.
Yes. He is Shershverma.
Shershverma,
yes.
Shershverma.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard that name before.
Oh, have you?
Like, not him in particular, but I think Suresh is a pretty common name.
Oh.
So.
Way smarter than me, Nick. I didn't know that. I think.
I could be wrong. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong on that. But, yeah, it definitely his parents, his girlfriend or wife. I mean, it could be a sister, but
could be.
It seems more dramatic that this would be a girlfriend or wife.
Well, let's listen to this next segment, and it'll finish off that little thought process for you.
The woman in the red sari, Uma, had a look of shocked recognition come over her face. She gazed at Titu as if the pieces of a puzzle had suddenly clicked into place. Meanwhile, Shanti, observing the scene, began piecing together the puzzle herself. A realization struck her, prompting her to rush out of the room and return with a pair of scissors. Without a word, Shanti approached Titu, pushing his head to the side to expose his right ear. She began cutting away the hair that drooped over his ear, revealing more and more of the right side of his skull. As the hair fell away, the adults in the room gasped, their eyes widening in shock. Through it all, Titu simply smiled. Let's go back in the story to where Shanti's oldest son traveled to Agra in search of answers. He and his friend drove around the city, scrutinizing radio stores and searching for any connection to Titu. They found nothing until they passed a particular radio shop whose name immediately caught their attention. The brother and his friend parked the car and entered the shop. Inside the shop, the brother nervously approached Uma and asked how the shop got its name. Uma, with a mix of sadness and nostalgia, explained that the shop belonged to her late husband. 3.5 years ago, she began, my husband was murdered. He was shot and killed by a thief who tried to rob this shop. Since then, I've been running it. She paused, her eyes reflecting the pain of her loss before continuing. I thought about changing the name of the shop, but I just couldn't do it. It was named after my husband, Suresh Verma. The brother's heart raced as he heard those words. Suresh Verma. The very name that Titu chanted during his tantrums. He pressed for more details, eager to understand the connection. Uma shared how her husband's death had devastated their family, and how she had struggled to keep the shop running in his memory. As she spoke, the brother realized that the timing of Suresh's death coincided with Titu's birth and Shanti's sudden illness during her pregnancy. The pieces began to fit together in a way that was both eerie and enlightening. Titu's bizarre behavior, his obsession with Agra, and his constant mention of Suresh Verma started to make sense. Scholars from major universities in India and America had studied cases like Titu's, where individuals exhibited behaviors and memories of past lives. The brother recalled reading about the theory of reincarnation, where a spirit, upon death, transitions into a new body. Could it be that Suresh Verma's spirit had found a new home in Titu? The evidence was compelling. Titu's fixation on Agra aligned with Suresh's life there. His disdain for his family's modest lifestyle mirrored the affluent life Suresh had led. But the most striking evidence was the 2 birthmarks on Titu's head, right above and below his right ear. Shanti had always noticed these birthmarks, but had never thought much of them until she learned about the details of Suresh's murder. He had been shot in the side of his head, with the bullet entering above his right ear and exiting below it. When Shanti heard this, she ran to get scissors and cut away Titu's hair to reveal the birthmarks. The adults in the room gasped in shock, realizing that the birthmarks corresponded exactly to Suresh's fatal wounds. On the day Suresh was killed, Shanti had fallen ill, leading to her hospitalization. This chilling coincidence further solidified the belief that Titu was the reincarnation of Suresh Verma. After the discovery, Shanti and her husband expected Titu to want to live with Uma and her family. Initially, Titu did express a desire to be with his other family, but he soon decided to stay with the family he was born into, visiting Uma and her relatives regularly instead. The two families forged a strong bond, visiting each other frequently. Titu's troubling behavior vanished, and he grew into a well-adjusted and high-functioning child. As he matured, he embraced both families, understanding his unique situation.
That is a rough situation to be in, really.
Very rough situation to be in. Could you imagine? You have all this stuff that happens. For Uma, she's like, this is my husband reincarnated.
Yeah.
Clearly, that can happen. But then do you feel guilty if you find somebody else? It's not like her husband died and then
right.
she doesn't have to face it.
He did.
Right.
But he's back.
Right.
So really, what is she supposed to do?
That's what I'm saying.
She can't date a 3-year-old.
No.
Like, I'm not going to say that word again, but
then if you're him, you're watching your wife that can't be with you anymore.
Right. That's so rough. That's probably what led to his decision not to live with that other family.
I'm sure.
Because he don't want to see that.
I'm sure.
Like, that's a very mature decision for him.
Well, think about it. He was not the typical kid. He was very different in all those time frames.
Yeah.
But what a weird story.
I know. I really like that. One thing I wonder about is what seemed to calm him down was to say his own name. I wonder if his tantrums were him worried that he'd lose memories, because normally if you're reincarnated you don't remember most of this stuff.
No.
Like, supposedly that's very rare, so I wonder if his tantrums were like he's losing memories of who he is or something like that, and he'd chant his own name to bring himself back, kind of.
Could be. Or like the people that when they're trying to get a point across, like they might repeat the thing that they're trying to get across over and over again to themselves, because they're like, this is me. This is who I am. Why can't you understand this? Yeah. Suresh Verma, that's me.
Right. Right.
But because he was limited in vocabulary, he couldn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't really express that to him. Right. Like, it wouldn't make sense to a kid anyway either.
No.
But it seems as he went along, he started to become more Suresh Verma and less this kid.
Titu, yep.
Yeah. It almost makes me wonder if there's two people inside there.
Could be.
You know?
Could be.
Because now, his murder and her pregnancy overlapped, but they weren't simultaneous, it didn't sound like.
The moment that he died, his mother was rushed to the hospital. She became gravely ill.
Right, but she was already pregnant.
Yes.
So this is definitely a matter of perspective, how you feel about this, because I know for religious folks, the soul is in the baby the moment of conception, isn't that right?
Yes.
So if another soul came in, there's only a couple options. He either forced the other one out, or they're both in there. Or am I understanding this wrong?
None of us know. I've never died yet, so
right.
If I did, I don't remember.
But what's your thoughts on that? Like from like from your perspective, you believe that the soul is there from the moment you're conceived, or do you not believe that?
If we're not in the Matrix, then yes.
Right.
If we're not in a simulation, Nick, I'm not sold that we're not in a simulation.
Now, if we were in a simulation, you could definitely store more than one imprint on a single drive.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever heard of I think I mentioned this before, Altered Carbon?
I don't know.
A TV show used to be on Netflix.
I don't think so.
In the future, people are effectively immortal because they can store their entire being on these discs in the back of their neck. And
sounds like Repo Man.
Though it's illegal.
The movie Repo Man. I mean, the premise of Repo Man.
I'm trying to think.
The premise of it was when an organ goes bad, you can get a new one.
Right.
But if you don't make your payments, they repo the organ back. But the end of the movie, sorry, spoilers. If you don't want to know the spoiler to a movie that came out 20 years ago, the ending of the movie is the guy that was the repo man. He didn't make payments, but what he wanted was to have his mind put into a computer where he lived a simulation of his favorite moment in time.
Okay.
So he just lived that moment over and over and over again. And it was of him and his wife.
Okay.
His wife had died.
Okay.
And he wanted to relive that moment over and over. So every day. But at the end of the movie, they made it to where he could live that life forever.
Well, I know it's getting off on a tangent, but I'm curious what you think about this.
Mm-hmm.
If you could live this is almost directly related to the Matrix. Mm-hmm. If you could live a very happy life doing everything you wanted, learning things, doing your favorite things all the time, and you could do that forever, but you knew it wasn't real, but it felt real, it smelt real, like it was essentially real, but you knew that it wasn't. Would that bother? Would that matter?
Nope.
No, I don't think it would to me either.
No, because I mean, I already have virtual reality goggles upstairs.
Right.
I do it already.
Like that's your reality.
Yeah, that's my reality in those moments. Or even when we're playing video games, I'm not really here, right? I think that's the beauty of most people and video games. They get to live like a Ready Player One movie, right? You're living the life vicariously through whatever that moment is.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever, with your virtual reality goes, have you ever watched a movie in such a giant screen that it feels like you're standing there?
Well, do you
remember?
Do you have a VR by chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have the Quest?
Quest 2.
Okay. Yeah, me too. So with the Quest 2, you can put the goggles on and you can sit anywhere you want to, whether it's like a house, movie theater, and you can watch those movies on the big screen.
Yeah, and you can make that screen almost as large as you want.
Yeah.
If you turn on dark mode, you can.
Yeah. I like having something to where I feel like I'm sitting somewhere. I don't know why that is.
Right.
Because they've got a drive-in. I've watched a movie at that drive-in, fake VR drive-in. And then my other favorite one is
I've never been to one of those in real life.
Oh, man, you've not?
Not a drive-in, no.
Oh, it's so cool, man, because you set your radio station to a channel and you're just listening to it on your car stereo. It's so cool.
Do you have to have your car idling the whole time?
I would suggest that you turn it on periodically and make sure your battery doesn't go dead, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd worry about. Sorry. Anyway, getting off topic, but my point was, like, I watched movies on such a big screen that no matter where I looked in VR, it was like I was looking at part of the scene. And I've only watched one movie that way. One movie and one concert. And the movie was the new Hellraiser movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that different than I remember other movies. I remember that as if I was, like, when they were in a park, I remember it as if I was standing in the park. And I can remember, like, gravel under my feet, even though there clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I remember it. That's the what is it? Unreliability of human memory. Like, clearly I don't remember any of this stuff, but my mind's filled it in.
For sure.
So if we can get that now, we could definitely live a completely virtual Matrix life.
Correct. I saw a concert in the Quest 2, which was the Post Malone concert.
You know what? That's the same one I saw.
Yeah, and like you could walk into the different spots, and like one of them, I think you're looking up and he's singing like on that little island thing, and it's like dark and there's like all those, I think it was like fireflies or something that was flying around, and I'm like, that's cool.
That's the one where he was like near that lakeside or something like that, or
yep.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That's the way to watch a concert.
It really is. I mean, I know everyone's like, I want to be there in real life and blah. And listen, I get it. I understand. But there's something about with VR that opens up all these different things that you just can't experience it any other way. I don't know if you've ever played a video game that was scary in VR, or you have watched this like a super scary, what do they call those? It's not a movie, but it's like a, what do they call that? Interactive.
Like an experience kind of thing?
Yeah. Have you ever tried those?
Yeah, I've done a few of those. Yeah.
You feel like you're there.
Oh, you do? I've dropped things because I set them on a table that doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I've leaned up against a post that wasn't there. So.
Yeah. Oh, this is the worst one. You know, there's a boxing game, right?
Yes.
Well, I calibrated it wrong. I thought when you're calibrating it, you're supposed to be swinging with every bit of force you got. So then when I got into the first match, I was trying to knock this guy out and I was punching him and he wasn't hardly feeling it. So I'm swinging as hard as I can. Like I'm almost pulling my muscles with every swing.
Wow.
And I got a little too close to the wall and I slammed my fist so hard into the edge of the door. Ooh, I didn't soon forget that. That felt real.
Yeah, that felt really real, didn't it? Now, for those of you that doesn't know, if you have those VRs, like Nick and I both have it, we can connect. We can watch a movie in the same movie theater.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. What I always wanted to do is get like a group of like 4 or 5 friends who had Quest 2s and like everyone watch a movie, because you can connect it to your PC and you can throw a DVD in and everyone can watch the movie.
Man, that's fantastic. That would be cool.
Super cool. Because if you have friends that's like all over the world, you're all together in a virtual spot.
You're not really going to get that chance if you don't do that.
No. Like I've got a friend of mine that's in Texas that has a Quest 2. I have another friend of mine that is in the Wales. That one be a little more complex because of the time difference. Like it's a significant time difference. But like, getting everyone, but like you and I, we could jump into our quests, come to the same lobby, and we could watch anything in there and then be able to talk to each other.
Let's watch Hellraiser.
Yeah. I got to get you to watch the game. We talked about that last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got to watch that.
So good. Well, there's one more
but all this was
left.
really related.
Oh, yeah, it was. Just in a convoluted
There was
way.
a reason we said all that. Yeah, exactly.
Don't even worry about it. This next part is the aha, that's crazy moment that kind of finishes this entire thing off, Nick. Are you ready for this?
I am ready for this.
Titu later remembered the name of his murderer, a businessman named Sadik Johadian. The clarity with which he recalled this name was unsettling, yet it provided a crucial piece to the puzzle. Driven by this revelation, Shanti and her husband decided to take this information to the authorities. The Agra police were initially skeptical, but the consistency and detail in Titu's memories compelled them to investigate. They brought Sadik Johadian in for questioning. The businessman, now older and with a life seemingly free of past crimes, was confronted with the accusations. Under the weight of the evidence and the intensity of the investigation, Sadik eventually confessed to the murder of Suresh Verma. The case took a dramatic turn when Titu was asked to narrate the details of the crime to an Agra court. The court proceedings were highly unusual, drawing significant attention from the media and public. People were fascinated and bewildered by the idea of a child recalling a past life with such precision. In court, Titu described the events of the day Suresh Verma was killed. He spoke of the altercation in the radio shop, the attempted robbery, and the moment Sedek Johadian pulled the trigger. His descriptions were chillingly accurate, matching the details of the crime scene and the investigation that followed Suresh's death. The court was captivated by Titu's testimony. The level of detail and the emotional weight he carried convinced the judges that this was not a fabrication. After careful consideration and corroboration of Titu's account with the existing evidence, the court concluded that Titu was indeed the reincarnation of Suresh Verma. The verdict sent shockwaves through the community and beyond, challenging many to reconsider their beliefs about life, death, and what lies beyond. Titu's story became a beacon of hope for those who believed in the possibility of reincarnation, and a testament to the mysterious ways the universe operates. For Shanti, her husband, and their family, this revelation brought a profound sense of closure and peace. They had not only uncovered the truth behind Titu's erratic behavior, but had also seen justice served for Suresh Verma's untimely death. As Titu grew, the memory of his past life gradually became a part of his rich tapestry of experiences. He continued to thrive, both academically and personally, never forgetting the incredible journey that had shaped his early years. Titu eventually became a happy and successful adult, marrying and starting a family of his own. Today, he is a respected professor at a college in India, living proof of a tale that transcends the boundaries of life and death, a testament to resilience and the enduring connection between past and present.
Ooh, yeah, wonder what his wife thinks about that.
I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure they come to some kind of thing. They're
sure
like, obviously we can't date each other. Like,
yeah, clearly.
I mean, that would be hard, but I think you'd get over it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Definitely a complex situation, though, because it's like,
oh, yeah,
man, of all the different things that this path could have went down, this is the path that life chose to swing our way.
Oh, I know.
Crazy.
Like, this isn't typical reincarnation story, because it normally doesn't happen like that, typically.
Right. And I know some of you is going to say this is a solved mystery. It's not a solved mystery because there's no way that we can prove whether this is real or this is fake.
Yeah. If I was that old guy accused of this and I saw this kid accusing me, I'd be like, nah, man, I didn't do it. None of that's real.
Right.
But he folded real easy.
He folded. Think about it. That would have to be terrifying if you're in India because they're extremely religious.
Oh, yeah.
So to him, it's like, I mean, think about it. He probably thinks this is some form of like a punishment from above or something.
So he probably thought like admitting to it might help him out on the wheel of reincarnation or whatever.
I would assume.
Maybe. I guess.
Even if he didn't believe, how could he not now? Because this kid gave a complete description of what happened.
Yeah.
Not just
minute by minute run through. Yeah.
How crazy.
That'd be weird.
Very
I think the thing that scares me most is when I think about this story, like, and I know that old man clearly didn't give a rat's crap about it, but I think about like if you shot someone and killed them and you lived to be like, you did it like in your 30s and you lived to be like 70 or something, I bet you must think about that every day. That's got to sort of ruin your life and wear on you anyway.
Well, you got to understand the vast majority, and I forget where I saw this, but there was like an expert that talked about people that did things like that inside of the prison system here in the States. So I guess it's different because it's probably based on the moral complex of the country that you're in. But they said that the people that was doing those kind of things mostly in prisons was either sociopaths or psychopaths.
Right.
So
so the regular person doesn't do that kind of thing, I guess.
Right.
But there's still crimes of passion, though, and stuff like that. That still happens.
But not when you're robbing somebody.
Yeah, typically not.
Yeah, there ain't no crime of passion in that unless he really loves radios or something.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he does.
Hey, we don't know. We don't live his life.
Oh, yeah.
What sets you out there in podcast land? Do you think that this is a case of reincarnation? Is it possibly a case of just imagination, dumb luck? Do you believe in reincarnation? I guess that's the $1,000,000 question.
I hope
what
not.
sets you, Nick? Nick's like, nope. Don't want to do this one again.
No, I mean, I love life. Like, I love life.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't fathom living another one where I don't know the people I love in this one.
Yeah. That's very
That
valid.
seems like a nightmare to me. I wouldn't know it, but it seems to cheat it. To me, it would cheapen the connections I've made in this life.
I can see that.
Sorry to get deep on y'all.
That's deep. Well, definitely let us know in the comments down below. Tell us what you're thinking. Is this a case of reincarnation or is it not? But until the next time we see you in the next podcast, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
In a small village, whispers in the wind, a child named Titu, where did his tale begin? Memories from a life that wasn't his own, haunted by a name, he felt so alone. Shershverma, Shershverma, the words he would say, a secret from the past that wouldn't fade away. Searching for the truth in the city of light, the echoes of a soul, a beacon in the night. Reincarnate, the spirit never dies. From the shadows, a new life will rise. Memories linger, love never fades. In the heart of Titu, Shersh remains. Reincarnate, the spirit never dies. From the shadows, a new life will rise. Memories linger, love never fades. In the heart of Titu, Shersh remains. Uma in red, with tears in her eyes, recognize the spark, the ghost in disguise. A life taken early, a soul left to roam, found a new family, made a new home. Shershverma, Shershverma, justice in his name. From the past to the present, the story's the same. A child's revelation, a family's plea, the spirit of a man in a child set free. Reincarnate, the spirit never dies. From the shadows, a new life will rise. Memories linger, love never fades. In the heart of Titu, Shersh remains. Truth in the court, the past came alive. Confession of the crimes that it couldn't hide. Justice served in the name of the lost. A family united, no matter the cost. Reincarnate, the spirit never dies. From the shadows, a new life will rise. Memories linger, love never fades. In the heart of Titu, Shersh remains. In the twilight of our minds, where stories intertwine, the echoes of a life in Titu they shine. A tale of love and loss through the years it's told. In the heart of Titu, Shersh spirit unfolds.